Life is complicated, but it wasn't complicated here. I was in my backyard in Pittsburgh, 7 years old. Growing up, I had the Chevy behind me, and I had my camera around my neck. I had a really happy and joyous childhood there, and joy was actually sewn into my DNA. I've spent the rest of my life looking for that place where joy is through my photography and just the rest of my life. And photography's just been an incredible opportunity for me. It's been a key that's opened up a lot of doors and given me incredible pleasure and incredible experiences, and I'm going to share some of that with you tonight. I photographed Sophia Loren in a villa in Beverly Hills with a leaf blower on her. I went to Alabama and photographed Ewan McGregor with his head inside a lion, smoking a cigarette. I asked Channing Tatum to show me how strong he was. This is the only posed picture of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and I photographed them at their most competitive, and the things they were saying to each other were just insane. But I squeezed them onto the steps of Steve Jobs' house and asked them to look civilized for a moment. I photographed Glenn Beck and asked him what it was like being on a diet. I photographed Joan Rivers and gave her some extra plastic. I photographed the cake boss in Hoboken behind his bakery in the alley that they actually filmed on the waterfront. These are the Mask brothers, who are generally very serious, but they're having so much fun making chocolate in Williamsburg that I wanted to show how much fun they're having. This is one of our national treasures, Honey Boo Boo. I photograph her a lot, and I actually love her. She's really fun, but we had this shooting in Atlanta this past spring, and it was too early for her to start taking pictures, and I realized that we weren't going to get anything, so we started playing dodgeball, but the deal is I wasn't going to let her win. And then she beat me. I also photograph a lot of real people. There's nothing more isolating and makes you feel more lonely than having the leads from an EKG put on your chest, and I just loved when this guy's wife leaned over and gave him a kiss, and he didn't feel so lonely. This is another kiss. This is from a dance performance that was done, choreographed by Azure Barton, who's also a good friend of mine. This woman bites this guy's tongue for 8 minutes as they dance around, and drool's coming out, and it's incredible. But when I saw this dance for the first time, I knew I had to take their picture. A friend of mine's a fashion designer in New York, Kay Unger, and she designed a line of pajamas. And she asked us to photograph them, and Steffi, my wife, and I went to Europe, and she wore them all over Paris and London, and we took pictures. So 2 weeks ago, I went back to Pittsburgh. My mother's been living in the same house since she was 4, and I went to visit her. And Sunday morning, she's reading the paper, and the light's really beautiful in the dining room, and I take out my camera, and I start photographing her. And she looks great, but I'm going, wow, these pictures are not looking good. These are not good, and I'm saying that out loud. And she goes, well, you aren't a very good photographer. And then she says, well, maybe you should get a new camera. And I was using, the finest camera body that Canon makes. And finally she says, maybe you need to get another mother to photograph. But she's irreplaceable, and we love her. And I started walking around the house, and my father's been gone for 15 years, but he's still very much in the house. And I wanted to take a photograph of him, too. And I went out in the backyard, and there was the hammock and the bird feeder that he used to hang out with and feed the birds, and I photographed the hammock. and I crawled underneath the hammock, and the leaves were coming down, and I photographed the leaves underneath the hammock too. And then I just laid down in the hammock, and I was thinking, what's the greatest picture I have of my father? And I realized that it's not a photograph at all. It's a recording from Thanksgiving years ago. After the meal, he's a little hungover, and he goes in the den, and he turns the volume on the football game down, and he goes over to the stereo, and he puts on a record by Bobby Short, who was one of our favorite cabaret singers, and he lays down on the sofa, and he starts singing with Bobby Short.
Sitting on the rainbow, got the string around my finger. What a world.
What a world. What a life.
What a life. I'm in love.
I want to tell you what I tell everyone when I photograph them. The first thing I say is all we're doing is putting love out in the world. And that's the truth. That's all that I think about when I'm taking pictures. I'm not really thinking about things visually. I'm not thinking about ideas. I'm just thinking about that place that we're all connected. There's a beautiful teenager named Kelly that I photographed a couple weeks ago doing yoga. She has a horrible degenerative disease, and she can't talk, and her muscles are very hard to control. And I just held her hands when I first went in to shoot her, and I said, all we're doing is putting love out in the world. And then she's back in the game. Then she's part of what I'm doing. And she has that. She has love in spades. It's with her mother. When I photographed the Obamas, the first thing that I said is all we're doing is putting love out in the world. And I said, that's what we have to do for a job, and I really believe that. I was at a school in Thailand, and I walked into the courtyard, and these kids just surged at the camera with so much love, and it was the same thing that I'm looking for when I photograph the president or photograph any of the people that you've seen on the screen. It's just all we're doing is putting love out in the world. I really don't care what people look like. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care what your hair does. I don't care what you're wearing. I won't even remember the color of your eyes if we take pictures. But I really care who you are, and I really want to tell your story, and that's my way in. I have to ask a lot of questions. I photographed Jim Carrey, and he has a very rubbery face, and I wanted to know what it was going to be like when he got older. This is a friend of mine who's a clown in Cirque du Soleil, and I wanted to know what's so funny when your pants fall down. So listen, we're all taking pictures of our desserts, and we're Instagramming and Facebooking all these pictures of our desserts, and I don't care what your dessert looks like. All I care about is what it tastes like. I'm obsessed with the idea that we're all connected. It's a really big thing for me. It's the big us. And in our connection, we are photographing both the big things in our lives and the small things. The big things for me were when I got engaged to Steffi. That sign said yes on both sides. I rigged it. This is the day before our first son was born. And this is a couple days later. And then all the moments that we're going to spend together the rest of our lives. But the great photographs are the photographs that we aren't taking. They're the photographs that happen every day. They're the things that we think, oh, well, this won't be a good picture, or we don't even think that. And I want to ask you, please think about all of the amazing things going on around your life that you should be taking pictures of. One for me was on the third floor of our house. Our son was looking for a toy in the bathtub. Every day we're spending so much time in the kitchen, and there's a lot of great pictures there besides what your food looks like. What did it feel like peeling the egg? This is one of the pictures you never take, but my younger son woke up from a nap completely disheveled and completely disoriented, and he has the dad that took that picture. The funny thing with this picture is this was my most liked picture on Facebook all summer. So my challenge to you is this. The next time you have an ice cream cone, turn the camera on yourself and show me the ice cream on your tongue. The next time that you're laughing so hard that you can't stop, take that picture. The next time that you're crying so hard that you think the tears will never stop, take that picture, and take every picture in between. There's a photographer who also grew up in Pittsburgh who I love and has been a big hero of mine, and he wrote on one of his photographs years ago what I think is the definition of photography. It says at the top, "This photograph is my proof. This is the proof that we were together, we were happy. See, look for yourselves." Thank you.